I'm Al McFarlane. Welcome to the Conversation with Al McFarlane. I'm glad to be here and glad to have you along. And you know, on Fridays, it's the Healing Circles. I'm pleased to be in company of my colleagues, my friends, my leaders, elders in community, talking about health and healing. But today, we also want to talk about an event that I'm honored to be moderating tomorrow up at the Regional Acceleration Center. We call it the Thor Building on Plymouth and Penn in North Minneapolis. That event is the Black Men's Legacy Summit. It's actually Legacy Summit 2. And there is a star-studded panel of presenters, people with great depth of knowledge, experience, leadership role. And the question is, how do we eliminate any excuses from us pursuing our obligation, our duty to create and leave legacies of empowerment and of opportunity for our families, our children, and for generations to come. So we'll be talking about that during the course of the program, but I'm pleased to begin by inviting you to support this program by subscribing. You go to YouTube Insight News MN, YouTube Insight News MN, and hit subscribe. You become a subscriber. We want you to also like the program and share it. Call your friends and tell them we're having a conversation right now, and it's something that everybody ought to be a part of. We want to grow community, grow conversation. That's what this is all about. And Friday is extra special because Friday is the Healing Circle. And beyond that, on the last Friday of the month, like today, a special added feature called the Recovery Room. Our panelists, our experts, our therapists are here to talk to you and to have you in community about ideas, discussions, challenges that may have originated in today's conversation. So we want to have it where it goes further and further and further. And the Recovery Room is one of the modalities. We're doing that through the Healing Circle. Well, let me begin by bringing in our fearless leader, Dr. Bravada Garrett-Akinsanya. Dr. B, how you doing, sister?
Just great today. I'm so happy to be here, and I'm so excited about the things that are happening this weekend and the Men's Legacy Summit. I'm excited about seeing brothers being empowered and claiming the power that they've been rightfully given by divine entity, our Father God. So I'm excited to celebrate with you and the other brothers in our audience and the sisters who love them. So if you don't mind, I'd like to just tell people how we roll on Fridays with the Healing Circle.
Yes.
So first of all, we have a virtual circle since we're not all in the same room, but we envision ourselves in the circle with each other as we have engaged in the past in conversation. And the African tradition of circle holding is one where celebrations and grief and challenge are met. And in this sacred space, there is no top or bottom. Everyone is in the circle, and everyone in the circle has this shared power of voice, which is in the center of the circle. So as we bring our issues forward, as we talk about our needs and share our dreams, we all have voice. And in the circle, the orderly nature shows us that we honor and respect those who have come before us. So we honor our elders because those are the shoulders that we stand on. And we honor our elders because they're closest to our ancestors. And we honor our ancestors because they're closest to our Creator. We believe in a concept called consubstantiation. That means all living things are connected. We're connected to the earth, the sky, and each other, and everything in it. So when we share this planet, as we speak to each other, we recognize that we are more alike than we are different. We just come in different containers. So as we engage in that, the dialogue of order and love and peace and healing, in this space, we're free to be who we are. And as my brother Baba Al said, on every last Friday of the month, we extend the Healing Circle to go to what we call the Recovery Room Town Hall, where people can come and process further what we talked about today. This is the time for the audience to have voice and to continue that conversation way past the moments that we stopped doing the Healing Circle commentary. And you will see a link to that program in the comments, as well as reminding you on the bottom. So the most special part that we share that I really like is we use a virtual talking stick. So in that conversation, we may not have the stick in our hand, but we virtually pass that stick because the stick symbolizes who's got the floor. And we can ask for the stick, we can use the stick, we can beg for the stick, but the stick goes around to everybody in the circle. And with that, we welcome you today to the Healing Circle. And I pass the stick to Baba Al McFarlane.
Well, thank you, Dr. B. I accept that. And I want to set up today's conversation because I'm, again, focused on supporting the Black Men's Legacy Summit tomorrow. But as I approached that, I thought about us as Black men, as Black people. And I thought about my brother Garrett-Akinsanya, who's an entrepreneur, a businessman, and who is a Yoruba man. And the thought comes to me that in Yoruba land, Yoruba people, African people, are building not just skyscrapers, but cities, highways, roads, tunnels, bridges, communities. They're building ecosystems, they're building channels, all of the elements that create community and support and sustain life. They are responsible, have assumed the responsibility for both creating, maintaining, improving, and growing so that the needs of the 100 million people in Nigeria are met daily and into the future. And so I said, wouldn't it be great to ask Brother Yelly to talk about, to reflect on the naturalness of creating a nation, of being a nation, of being empowered and responsible for a nation of humanity. And then how does that transfer to the experience of those who have been both marginalized and materially and emotionally, in many ways, destroyed, or certainly misshapen by our experience under the colonial, imperial, supremacist slave system that we still are coming out of the trauma of. So with that thought, I wanted to bring in Brother Yelly, Alexander. Brother Yelly, good to see you. And I'm going to pass the talking stick to you. Just reflections, thoughts, whatever your feelings are.
Good afternoon, Mr. McFarlane, and thank you for the invitation to the show today. And, that's a loaded issue because, actually it's really dear to my heart because of where I come from and where I have been and where people in Nigeria, people that look like me, have been. I rarely share this, but I'm going to share it today. When the British colonizer were in Nigeria, there was a political party that was very staunch in kicking them out of Nigeria. It was called the Action Group. One of these days, when I see you, I can even forward the picture to you. In 1958, 8 Nigerians came together and formed the Action Group. And when they formed the Action Group, they basically wanted to transform the western part of Nigeria. There were only 3 regions: the northern region, the western region, and the eastern region. If you look at the map of Nigeria, that was how Nigeria was in 1950, in 1950s. They wanted to transform Nigeria, and they believed that the way they can transform Nigeria is to kick the British out of Nigeria. So the leader of that party, political party, was Chief Awolowo. Today, Chief Awolowo is renowned as the president, the best president Nigeria has never had. So out of those 8 people, my family had the privilege of actually having 2 people out of those 8. So my dad was a member of the Action Group, the foundation members of Action Group, and my uncle, his big brother, also was a member with Chief Awolowo, Chief Shonibare, Adigun, Akerele, Oredeyin, Akinsanya, my dad, and Chief Akinsanya. In terms of developing, till today, the old Western region is like about 11 states in Nigeria. Those 11 states continue to serve as the industrial base for Nigeria's economy today. Lagos alone, Lagos is the smallest state in the whole of Nigeria. But Lagos is actually the financial capital of Nigeria. Lagos alone, 70% of the industrial capacity of Nigeria is still located in Lagos State, which was part of the old Western region. So when I say this, again, I'm kind of shy. I shy away from this all the time. When Western Nigerian Development Corporation, which was the premier development corporation in Nigeria or Africa for that matter, when it was started after the inauguration of Action Group in 1958, my dad happened to be the executive director of commerce for WNDC. WNDC in the early 60s built the tallest building in West Africa. They call it Cocoa House. Cocoa House basically was built from the money that the Western Region Development Corporation was actually getting from cocoa, cocoa plantation in Nigeria. So from that money, Chief Awolowo basically instituted compulsory primary education in Western region. And today, till today, the most educated part of Nigeria is still the Western region. And he didn't care whether you're an Igbo man or Yoruba man or Hausa man or even a foreigner. If you live in the old Western region, primary education was free for everybody. And if you as a parent do not send, if parents do not send their children to school, not only will they bring them to court, they send them to jail. So it was not only compulsory, it was compulsory and it was mandated to every single person did that. But then if you look at development activities in the old Western region, there's this portrait of my dad in our basement. When people see this, oh, is that you? I said, no, that was my dad. They took that portrait. He took that portrait when he came to sign the franchise agreement for Pepsi Cola and Coca-Cola in the US, in New York, in 1962. So when you're talking about development, I guess when you are in Nigeria and everybody is quote, quote, black, and everybody, you don't see a person holding you down, at least then, basically, the sky is the limit. Is the limit. And that was why, with my wife's help, I didn't have any problem starting businesses here in the United States. Mr. McFarlane, if you remember, we were developers in North Minneapolis.
Yes.
I'm proud to say that we at least helped over 27 families to be first-time home buyers. And the reason we were able to do that was because in the mid-2000s, the city of Minneapolis had a grant for first home buyers. So developers like our company, Brackens Consulting, or my friend, may his soul rest in peace. What's his name? The brother that they named the building.
Thor, Richard Copeland.
Thor Construction, our company, and some other developers, we actually participated in that. So how that happened was this. Majority of the people were renters in North Minneapolis, and we were bent on changing that. So if you are buying a home that is about $200,000 and you cannot qualify for a $200,000 loan, through the city available grant, we were able to help homeowners, first-time home buyers, get between $25,000 to $35,000, maybe even $40,000 grant. So all of a sudden, A house that costs $200,000 is already $175 or $160. By reducing the cost of the house itself through this grant, it's like a down payment. Several people who couldn't even believe that they could qualify for homes became homeowners. We are very proud of that, and I want to see more of those activities, especially in North Minneapolis. It is possible. I don't want to hear anybody saying, well, it's not possible. There are barriers out there, basically based on racism. People who do not want to see you succeed, but you have to go over their head to make that happen. So I think for now, I will stick with that and give this.
Let me ask you I love that story. It's a wonderful story, Brother Yelly. And so the idea, what do you think it was in those 9 men who decided that they would create the association that would end up creating new opportunity, or the new Nigeria? This was 1958, 59. Nigeria got independence, I believe, in 1960. 60? Yeah. And that was a big moment, not only for the continent of Africa, but for the entire world, and was a part of a movement of African nations, Ghana, Nigeria, and I'm not sure the sequence. Tanzania all emerged, wrestling, power, reclaiming their power, right, to be sovereign. And so I wanted to just juxtapose the thoughts as you were, as a young man or kid, watching your dad and your uncle and these leaders. What thoughts were motivating and guiding them, and how must we adopt, experience the same thought process so that we begin to develop the character and the potential of our community right here in North Minneapolis, but everywhere in the African world? What are your thoughts?
Okay. Well, there were 8, including Chief Awolowo. There were 8. The belief system for the action group was this: this is our own country. This is our place. We are not going to accept white supremacy in Black Africa. So if you remember Pan-Africanism, championed by Brother Kwame Nkrumah, all of these things happened in the 50s. Ghana actually got its independence in 1957. Nigeria got its independence 3 years later. Tanzania got independence around that time also. So the belief was that the colonizers were basically exploiting the continent. So in order for us to grow and be self-sufficient, self-governing, we needed to take power away from the colonizers. We needed to get rid of slave trade, which was rampant in the old Ivory Coast, currently Ghana. So these people grew up believing that it was their responsibility to wrestle that power away from the colonizers. And what the colonizers were doing was exploiting the economy. But then with our own economy overseen by us, we could develop Nigeria to the level of any European country. So Chief Awolowo, the leader of the political party, Action Group, Chief Awolowo had one problem or one fault. Regardless of who you are, he would tell you what he was going to do. So he telegraphed to the British people that I'm kicking you out of Nigeria. Period. You have no business here. You have no business in our country. You've done enough damage. Go away. Now, by virtue of, and this is one of the key problems with Africans. If you look at Africa as a continent, we are talking about 55 countries. So the divide and conquer rule was basically unleashed on the continent of Africa. North America is as big as Africa, but there are only 3 countries in North America: US, Canada, and Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
But we have few Africans, and they've always used it. And unfortunately, it's still going on now. They divide and try to conquer us because they offer some pennies and peanuts to some of us, and then we basically just fold up. And we will trade our own brother, our own sister at the marketplace for peanuts. So that's one of the reasons that I think this group of 8 people, they truly believed in each other, and they believe in the capacity of Black people. Because if you know, if maybe a lot of people don't even realize it, Western Nigerian Television Corporation was the first TV station in Africa. That TV station was before major TV station in most of the European countries. So Chief Awolowo was way ahead of a lot of people. With the action group, they are way ahead of most of the European countries. So the British colonizers basically said, regardless of what happened, we have to keep him away from being president of Nigeria. Because if he becomes president of Nigeria, what they are doing in the western part of Nigeria will be replicated all over Nigeria. And then they wouldn't have a place to continue to exploit Nigeria. That was why they colluded with local people in Nigeria and prevented him from being the president. Even the people in Nigeria, especially the people in the north, were afraid of Chief Awolowo, because if he had spread his development activities and compulsory education that there was happening in the western part of Nigeria to the northern part of Nigeria, the feudal system that still exists in the northern part of Nigeria will have been rid of.
Well,
so that belief that they could change Nigeria, and they did it, because the replica, they couldn't replicate it in other parts of Nigeria. But if you go to the western part of Nigeria today, all those facilities, all those industries, all those developments are still there. In fact, one of the richest, the most expensive zip code in Africa, maybe even majority of the world, is in Lagos. It's called the New Atlantic City. That was championed and led by the current president of Nigeria. He brought that to Lagos when he was the governor of Lagos State. So we have a lot of people doing a lot of stuff in Nigeria or all over Africa. And I've said this, if we just transform about 1/100th, not 1/10, 1/100th of the Black resources in America to Africa, Africa will become the giant of the world.
Let me take the talking stick back. Thank you, Brother Yelly. And I want to
Yes,
bring Sister Sherlyn LaChapelle in. And Sherlyn, though you lead here in the health and mental health profession as a nurse practitioner, and leading the Project Marua and other projects at Breakins and the African American Child Wellness Institute, your broad experiences include massive successes in the entrepreneurial arena. And you were one of the leading voices in encouraging home ownership for Black people, for equity. And so I want to have you reflect on the question I raised and the question that Brother Yeller responded to. And that's a question of how we come to, in our minds, understanding and embracing the duty, the obligation, and the opportunity to build wealth. And how does that tie into our health, our mental health, our physical health, that connection to our economic well-being, and to our overall ecology, the environment that we both are part of, and that we have to, at some point in time, I believe, and we have, continue to say we're responsible for. Well, what are your thoughts? I'm going to pass the talking stick to you, Sister Sherlyn LaChapelle. And are you muted? I'm not hearing you. You unmute. There we go. There we go.
You cannot be a healthy individual if you are lacking any of the components that makes a healthy life. Housing is a huge component. Foods, health care, mental health. We'll just use the Maslow hierarchy of needs and leave it there. What we need in the Black community, and I knew Yelly when he was developing, and I was part of the JAT group who developed the Riverview, and I sold that development successfully. I'm going to, because I'm a woman, here I go, and I'm part of the We Go High, Black women taking power and getting other Black women elected and in positions of power. We cannot be successful here or anywhere else in the United States or world without Black women being at the table, being in full partnership. I'm not talking worker bee. We have Black architects here. These sisters have been around here for quite a while, and I think they're doing successful development. And in Chicago, there are several Black women developers, and they're over in the Woodlawn area where I grew up, in partnership with Black male developers, but they have their own separate companies. But they realize that the magic mixture is when we work together in unison, full respect. You know, women are not going to hold anybody's coat anymore. I know I'm not. And every young woman that I come in contact with, I say, honey, you better than the rest. You are a woman, and we're going to roar. I think together we're unbeatable. I would like to see women at the table for development in the city. It's happening in other cities, but not so much here. We need to realize that if we put our heads, finances, and everything together, women bring a certain skill set to everything we do. Mm-hmm. And Al, I know you respect that and understand, because Bobby, you know, you got big respect for your wife.
That's right.
And there are things that the soft touch, those soft skills that we bring when selling, that's huge. It's the personal things, but we also have an analytical mind, and we are good designers. And just like our brothers, we all have skills, and together we're an unbeatable combination. Minneapolis, Minnesota, the whole state, we've got resources here other states lack. And if we come together to get our portion of those resources that the federal government has stated we should get, as well as the state, and instead of infighting, we work together, great things can happen here. So I'm going to pass that stick. I see Yelly over there looking like I got to say something to Mr. Yelly, if that's okay, Dr. B. You muted.
Unmute, yeah.
Okay, were you passing it to me or passing it to Mr. Yelly?
Your husband, because he's about to jump out of his seat.
Okay, you can have a seat.
Yeah. Mr. McFarlane, you remember I was talking about, helping about 27 families become homeowners. Mm-hmm. And Sister LaChapelle was talking about Maslow hierarchy of needs, mm-hmm. and housing being one of the key components of that. Mm-hmm. What I would truly love to see, not just in Minneapolis, everywhere, but in the Black neighborhoods of Minneapolis, St. Paul, and all the 7 metro counties, is to be able to create at least 100 new African-American homeowners every year for the next 5 years. I'm talking about 500. There are grants available in the metro area, city of Minneapolis, St. Paul, and all the metro to make that happen. And I would love to work with anybody to help out to make that happen, because the resources are there, mm-hmm. and we need to tap into it and create 500 more African-American homeowners within the next 5 years.
Well, let me respond to that. We've been running a promotion in the newspaper for almost 2 years now called 9,000 Equities. And I think that we're joined at the present or in a moment by Brother Jeffrey Robinson, who's one of the organizers of tomorrow's event. And if he's here, I want to bring him on because that's exactly what you're talking about, Brother Yelly, is being intentional and setting a number, something that's measurable, and to determine that we can do it. He's going to be joining in a minute. Let me take a break, and then we'll come right back. I want to get Dr. Oliver Williams' take on the conversation and his direction and wisdom as well. I'm Al McFarlane. This is the Conversation with Al McFarlane. It's a healing circle. We'll be back in a second. Are you or someone you know recovering financially from the COVID-19 pandemic, the lockdown, or any other reason? If so, help is available. Findhelp.org is a site to find a wide range of resources, including food, medical care, and more. The best part is based on your zip code. Visit findhelp.org, enter your zip code and the service you need. You'll get a map directing you to the organizations that can help you. Help is waiting at findhelp.org. If you need help starting anew, findhelp.org is the site for you. I'm Al McFarlane. This is the Conversation with Al McFarlane. It's Friday. It's the Healing Circle. And we want to continue this conversation. We're connecting this question of health and mental health, body health, community health, ecological, environmental health, all connected. Dr. B called it consubstantiation, realizing that everything in it is connected and that we are connected to each other. And so, Dr. Oliver Williams, jump in here if you would. I'm going to pass the talking stick to you to weigh in on this topic, or take it where you want to take it.
Hey, Brother Al, and everyone. You know, that as I was listening to the conversation, the thought that crossed my mind was the fact that we're talking about not only communication, but we were talking about people that had the notion that this was something that was important. They had the inclination that it was important to consider, you know, sort of working collectively, and they had a thought about what they wanted to do. Then it was collaboration. So it was, and I, you know, the thing when you were asking Yelly the question, I to me, one of the questions that I had with him, it was what motivated the 8 to 9 people to consider this. And so there had to be something. And Yelly, maybe you could answer that. You know, what was it that motivated them to think about working collectively and to try to make Nigeria a location that could be independent, but also they could serve themselves and not have any other people tell them who they needed to be.
You know, I'll take this feedback from you, Brother Oliver. You know, one of the greatest harm that has been done to humanity is slavery. I can't think of one that is worse than slavery. And people in Africa, some part of Africa, they participated in this thing with the colonizers.
Right.
And I think that was one of the reasons that Ghana, Mr. McFarlane, I think, and Dr. B and Sister Shirley, I think you guys know about this. When Ghana came up with this, giving land to African Americans in Ghana as quote, quote, reparation for the role they had in slave trade. You know, slave trading just happened because white people thought they were superior to black people. No, it was economic. And that economic arose from cheaper labor in the industrial world. They were enslaving their own people because these people were dying like in greater numbers. And so, oh, well, let's go to Africa. They brought some gunpowders, and they were able to convince some stupid African people that, you can engage in wars against your own people. Mr. McFarlane, if your family was stronger one day and you engage my family and you happen to capture us, you just sell us into slavery. That was the basis of slavery in Africa. It wasn't because the British came and overpowered all those. No, they were engaging in this stuff. So, Brother Oliver, to answer your question, all these 8 people, most of them studied in Europe, or actually in England.
Mm-hmm.
But before they went to England, they have this self-awareness that they are own masters of their own world, and they could create whatever it is that they needed for themselves. And they didn't need British people or anybody to do that for them. A lot of people today, when they see me, they say I'm arrogant, I am this, I am that. Because I grew up believing that I could be better than anybody in the world, period. I don't care who you are. I don't care what the color of your skin is. You could be pink, yellow, blue, or I have the belief that I could be better than you if the rules of engagement are the same. Mm-hmm. So these people had this mindset that they could beat anybody, anywhere in the world, to the game. Listen to this, Mr. McFarlane, and I'll tell you that, Brother Oliver. My wife and I, Dr. B and I, we went to Malaysia, I don't remember, 6, 7, 8 years ago. And the minute we got out of the airport, the guy who was driving us in Malaysia, he was driving from the airport to Kuala Lumpur. And he said, "Where are you from?" The minute I opened my mouth, I said, "Where are you from?" I always tease people, especially when I'm outside of the country. I said, "I'm from Texas." He said, "No, before Texas." I said, "Nigeria." He just, "Yeah, you guys are the one that gave us palm kernel." Listen to this now. Mm-hmm. Please, I really want you guys to listen to this.
You guys are the ones that give us what?
Palm kernel, palm tree, palm oil. The kernel that comes from making oil.
Okay.
See, in Nigeria, especially around the coast of Nigeria, mm-hmm. palm trees grow all over the place. You think that they are like plantation, like it was industrially planted. But they grow naturally. Mm-hmm. So we gave them palm kernel from the western part of Nigeria. We gave them palm kernel. They took our crops to Malaysia. Now, Malaysia is the largest producer of palm oil in the whole world. The people who own downtown Kuala Lumpur, the company that produces oil and sells it all over the world, they own more than 65% of all the properties in Kuala Lumpur downtown.
Wow.
That's how it's the number one biggest company in Malaysia. Guess how they got rich? From palm kernel that we gave them from western region of Nigeria. How can we not create the same thing in Nigeria if we have our acts together? Mm-hmm. And that was the reason they prevented Chief Awolowo. That was what Chief Awolowo was doing. And that was what he wanted to do all over Nigeria. But they prevented him from doing it.
Let me have the talking stick. I'm inspired. One of the things that I'm hearing when I think about our mother Africa, and I think about our Uncle Sam, I realize there's a difference in terms of how we used and valued our resources. And I noticed that there's even a book, it's about how people migrated from Africa up north and south, east and west, and that we biologically changed to adapt to the experience and the climate around us.
Yes.
And I think it's called Iceman, Warm Man, or something like this, the name of the book. But what happened is it showed that when people were around the equator, where they thought was the original space on the Nile, the Garden of Eden was in Africa.
Egypt.
There was a perception of plenty.
Yes.
And a sense of giving, a sense that everyone's welcome. I have enough for us. Mm-hmm. Then as they moved up into areas that look like Minnesota, where the winter's very long and the summer's very short. You better kill and get everything you need while you can, because you won't have plenty later or you'll die. And it shows us how two sets of people deriving from the same poor place, in order to survive, had different values. So those of us who are near the equator and continue to have that mentality and connection, we see that there's plenty. We learn that there's lack from our white colonizers. The white colonizers became very individualistic. And those individualists say, why don't you get what I got? I'm capitalizing on your weakness. This is how I'm getting rich. If it's less of them and it's more of what I got, then I can set the price and I can take advantage of your needs. Just listen to the psychology of that and how that impacted us. This is our COVID day, so I'm going to squeeze some COVID in here and say how it impacted us during COVID. When people thought they couldn't get tissue, folks was knocking folks down, lining up, going into Costco and Sam's, taking all the tissue. And we, on our communities, we were going to our neighbors. Do you need some? I'm going to the store. Do you hear that? Our Uncle Sam and our mother, Nigeria and Africa. So that is what continues to be a problem with why people didn't want to wear masks. It really wasn't many of us who didn't want to wear masks. Some of us didn't believe the disease because of Tuskegee, but we wore masks because we loved our community. That was the selling pitch for us. And still today, what impacts our thoughts about COVID is what, not just me, what is it going to do to my grandma? What's it going to do to my neighbor? What's it going to do to our babies? And so when we talk about this leads to thinking about what that legacy of excellence is. Anyone who leaves a legacy of excellence will never leave it just for themselves. They're always community-centered. They're always thinking of, how am I? I am because we are. And we are because I am. It's a contextual belief that the world is bigger and you have a responsibility and a gift to be in it. And that divine appointment is what makes us well. When we recognize it, accept it, embrace it, and live it, the world could not be a better place if everyone held those values. So with that, I'm passing the talking stick to Brother Baba Al. I'm hoping that our other brother with Jeffrey will be able to join us soon. So I'm just excited about this conversation.
It's a great conversation. I'll take the talking stick, Dr. B. Thank you. This is a wonderful conversation. And who is joining us now is Brother Jeffrey Robinson, who is the person, the team behind tomorrow's Black Men's Legacy Summit 2, which is happening at the Regional Acceleration Center. We call it the Thor building on the corner of Plymouth and Penn. And it's an all-day affair that brings people from different elements of our community around and together to talk about legacy and our obligation, and to remove any barrier, any hesitation, any reservation, to clarify that now is the time and this is the place to set your sights on being and creating a legacy for your family and for the generations to come. Jeffrey Robinson, welcome again. Thank you for joining us here on the Healing Circle. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, and thank you guys for having me, ladies and gentlemen. It's such an honor to be in this company with so many doctors and health practitioners. And it's amazing, like when you think about trauma and listening to Dr. Garrett speak about the real reason why people engaged in putting on the mask, and was because of family and community. And oftentimes we ask families, like, why, why you, why do you want to purchase a home so bad? And it's because I want my kids to have better. And but yet, after overcoming like the credit barriers, overcoming the many financial barriers, savings, bad habit barriers, there's a barrier that silently lingers, and it's the barrier the barrier of trauma. I cannot tell you how many brothers we've gotten to the line, and they either self sabotage or delay the process, either be out of being traumatized from watching another member in their family lose their home during the foreclosure crisis, watching a loved one get something and having it stripped from them and not having recourse to be able to get it back, not having the mindset to be able to get it back. And when you think about the level of distrust that our families have when it comes to your local financial institutions, because of the horrible treatment that we received. I mentioned yesterday, Al, that my grandfather, his favorite saying was that a black man's credit card was cash. My grandfather didn't have a banking relationship, completely locked out of a system. But yet he found a way to work around it. But his workaround, there's always a workaround for something. There's always a workaround for something. You can either, but the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. It's not a workaround. And even now, from some of the trauma that we've experienced, many of us will walk away from opportunities to improve our lives, opportunities to do better. Some people think it's a fear of failure. No, man. We've been failing all of our lives. We've learned how to fail from the time we were kids. Nobody gets to walk without falling down. That's the first failure. No kid stands up without falling down. No kids roll over. Plenty of kids rolled out the bed. I rolled out the bed. we all rolled out the bed at some point and hit the floor. So we're accustomed to getting up. That's not the issue. The issue is falling down and having a support system there. If you're the first person in your family to go on to purchase a home, especially after watching somebody else in the family lose a home, where's the support? Where's the guide? Where's the help? And so, the Black Man's Legacy Summit is reassuring brothers. It's not just about showing you the opportunity and exposing you to the opportunity, but also exposing us back to the idea that, man, together we can. We have the support. The support is already there. We can't listen to the media. We can't get into this idea that I'm on my own. We've never been on our own. We've never been a people as just me. That's the trick, to get you into thinking that, oh, you made it because you're special. The only thing special about me is this gray hair on my face at 51. That's the only thing special about me. But to think that I made it because it was just of my own ineptness, my own efforts. My efforts had a part to play in it. But my mother prayed a lot. My father, he chastised me every time I didn't know you was a gangbanger, Jeffrey. I don't gangbang, Daddy. So why you hanging with the gangbangers? Okay, I understand. If you don't game bang, don't hang with the game bangers. You don't sell drugs, don't hang with the drug dealers. If you're not on the path to go that way, then you need to be hanging out with the people that's walking down the street that you're going down and not walking in a different way. I had a lot of, it took a whole community, a whole family to produce one person to go on and graduate from college. And for us to be so selfish that we would get to this place and then turn around and not say, one of my favorite people here, Bill English, love and respect that man to life. And one of the things I always love hearing Bill English say is a story he talking about. We're storytellers. That's what we do. We are oral people. And one of the things that Bill, I recall so fondly, Bill English saying repetitively, he talked about the story of his mother. And his mother telling him that you owe. Now that you make it here, now that you made it here, you owe. You owe. Not somebody else owe, but you owe. The community did a lot to get you where you at. So now what are you gonna do? How are you gonna give back to help somebody else that once was you, well, that you once were, get to be the who you are? I hate to ramble, but we're so passionate about the things about our community, and it's so much in the. Man, I wish I was here for the whole thing, Al. I'm so sorry.
Everything is in divine order, and we're here when we're supposed to be here. And so, a question I'll throw back to you, Brother Jeffrey. We talked about it earlier. Brother Yelly talked about trying to figure out how we organize ways that are measurable and commonly embraced that move individuals and families into home ownership. I said 9,000 equities. Talk about 9,000 equities, if you would.
So 9,000 equities is an initiative to help 9,000 Black families get into home ownership. We've been watching the dial go backwards. We own more homes under the worst conditions than we do now under the supposed best conditions. I say that with a quote, but under the supposed best conditions, and we just got tired of watching the dial go backwards in terms of home ownership here. I think in Minneapolis, the rate of home ownership for Black folk is like right about 20-some%. And St. Paul is 19%. I mean, 80% of us, you mean to tell me that only like 81% of us can only own a home? And so 9,000 equities is to address those issues, is to bring together a community, a like-minded and like passionate people who have a passion for the work that we do as it relates to helping Black families get into home ownership. The Black Men's Legacy Summit is to take away every excuse a Black man will have for not engaging in building a legacy, which is what the premise of Build Wealth and what the premise of the 9,000 equities is built around, that we want to take away all the excuses. You don't have enough money, you don't have enough savings, your credit ain't right. Okay, we have a financial institution over here for you. You don't trust the system. Okay, we have some community partners that we've worked out relationships with that we trust, and we hope that by you trusting us, we can do a soft transfer over to a trusted partner that I wouldn't send. That if I won't send my brother there, I'm not going to send you there. And we can talk openly and honestly about it but provide you not just one, because we're not here to steer anyone, but we want to give you a list of reputable organizations that's here to truly help. And not just organizations, but individuals as well, because we partner with realtors as well as lenders, as well as other community partners. And so with the 9,000 equities movement, it's just that. We're here to help 9,000 Black families get into home ownership over the next 7 years.
Cooper, put up the promotional and maybe make that large and kind of take 30 seconds to run us through the day tomorrow. So people, it's not too late to show up. It's free. And I want you to make the invitation, but give us a 30-second walk through what's on the agenda tomorrow.
Oh, so tomorrow is bringing together our elders as well as the spiritual community, the banking, financial community, other nonprofits like Build Wealth from financial education, as well as those in the self-employment community like Dorothy Bridges with META, Warren McLean with Neon, people looking to get into franchises. We have Lavelle Bunker, who will be discussing franchises. For inspiration, we got Senator Bobby Joe Champion, Attorney General, having a moderated conversation with by Reverend Babbington to discuss how does a Black man go from growing up in North Minneapolis to becoming the head of the president of the Senate, to becoming the top cop for the state of Minnesota. So we're bringing together a number of different components to not just talk about what we need to do and what can be happening. We got a section specifically on chartering the future, to talk to young brothers into, okay, what are the barriers that's facing young brothers today? How do we overcome the massive rates of incarceration amongst our young men today? And what's needed? What are some support systems that's out there to help folks? The summit is going to be tomorrow, Saturday, at 1256 Penn Avenue at the Regional Acceleration Center, also known as the Thor Building. Brother Kenneth Copeland, and from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. on the 5th floor.
What's the address again, Jeff?
Yes, it's 1256 Penn Avenue. It's on the corner of Penn and Plymouth.
Yeah, across from the Urban League. Richard
There is
Copeland.
the building across from the Urban League.
Yeah.
Yes, the newer building.
Yeah. So this is going to be great. And to those who are listening, tell people, if you show up and let people know they should show up. It's going to be an important event, and an important opportunity to learn and to get moving in the right direction, and to be encouraged, to be our best selves. We want to go around one more time and Dr. B, ask you and Dr. Williams and Shirley LaChapelle to contextualize this conversation about economic empowerment, about wealth creation in the context of your ongoing work for health and healing in our community. So I'm going to pass the stick to Shirley in first, then to Dr. Williams, and then Dr. B will have you close it out.
Again, I respect and I appreciate what's happening in the community. But what I would like to see, more partnership between the men in Minnesota and the women here. That has been lacking. I've been in real estate since '98. I've been very successful, as several people on here can tell you. And I've been successful in healthcare. I have just as many male nurses that I mentor. In fact, one of Reg Chapman's friends in North Dakota, he gave him my name, and this young man and I have been talking, and now the issues he had are over because of my mentorship on how to deal with it. So it's the partnership. It's not looking at anybody or any group or gender as less than or supporting caste. Women are not supporting caste. We are leaders just as men. And I know I sound, Yelly, until we utilize all of our assets, we're going to be lacking. We're going to be in the back, because let me tell you, white men use white women all the time. All the time. In fact, that equal rights thing and all the special grants for minorities, they had their white wives and girlfriends listed as minorities. They got more benefit out of that than Black women did.
Let me ask Dr. Williams to jump in. We got short time. Dr. Williams?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think the thing that I think about is having the opportunity to have circles to talk about these things. What I was moved by with Yelly is the fact that you had 8 people get together that had the same idea and also the consensus about how to move forward with something. And as I hear you, Jeff, and you too, Brother Al, is that there was a group of people that got together with a singular idea, and they talked about it and pulled together the resources to move forward. That's what I get from Sherilyn, and that's what you do at Barkins and African American Child Wellness Institute, is that you have a group of people that are the resources to be able to do that.
Dr. B, the last 30 seconds go to you.
Well, I'll take them to say thank you all for joining us today, and that the Healing Circle is talking about how we capitalize on our health, our financial health, our physical health, our social, emotional, spiritual, and vocational health to make ourselves wealthy and prosperous in all aspects of our lives. So I believe that summit, the whole point of it is to remind us of who we are. And thank you all for joining us today on the Healing Circle, and stay on for more conversation as we go to the recovery room and talk about it and break it down and talk about how we're going to claim our wellness, financial, spiritual, and emotional. So I'll see y'all in a few minutes. I think it's on the thing here telling you how to go. So I'll see y'all in a few minutes in the recovery room.
All right. Thank you all. And we'll see you next time. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, brother.